No, not the same thing. This morning? Oh yeah, both you and Mr. Manuel told me yesterday you're going to be there today. Going to be in shiur today. Both told me at the same time.
Well, both to be there tomorrow.
Both are here tomorrow. When's the seminar? I thought it started today. Oh, it started today.
9:30.
All right. We did a little bit over a block today. I don't remember exactly how much. We're on Daf Lamana Af, excuse me, page 59. And we're talking about Hezek Shein and Nikar. Talking about various different types of religious damage, specifically Mitame, Medame, and Menaseh, when you make Truma Tame, when you mix in Truma with non-Truma, and when you libate wine for purposes of Avodah Zarah. And the Mishnah said if you did it unintentionally, you're exempt. If you did it intentionally, you are liable. Okay? So and the Gemara wants to know what exactly the case is in our Mishnah. And we're on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th line from the top. Which is probably not much more than 8 lines from the bottom. But 8 lines from the top. That's good when he holds, if the guy thought that the thing he was dealing with was chulin. So then, okay, its logic dictates I'll let him off the hook if he's an inference. What about if he knew that the stuff he was doing with his truma? But he held you're allowed to be matame truma. Now, this is what's called in Chazalic parlance, oimer mutter. A guy thinks it's mutter to commit a crime, like the guy who's speeding and thinks it's mutter to speed, right? So the question is again whether ignorance of the law is an exemption or not, right? So I understand if he didn't know the facts of the case, because he thought what he was doing with his chulin turned out to be truma, so then shogi could be exempt because it's not just ignorance of the law, it's ignorance of what he's dealing with. But it's where he knows he's dealing with just ignorant of the law, do we also let him off the hook where he's shogi or not, right? So this is Shmini Min adults. And now for the last case mentioned in our Mishnah. Last case mentioned in Mishnah is HaKohanim Shepiglu B'Mikdash. Kohanim who did peel in the Mikdash, it said Mezina Chayav. If they did it intentionally, they're liable, which infers that unintentionally they're exempt, right? Manaka might talk about Inkasaraba and Shulchulin. Ever talking about a case where you thought that it was Chulin, right? The Kohanim thought it was Chulin. So that makes no sense. They have to have a thought, to eat in chutz's man or chutzim kaimo. You can't have such a thought if you're dealing with chulin. Besides, if they're in the base on mikdash, makes no sense, right? So obviously, there's no such thing as pigul b'chulin. And obviously, the case that you're talking about in the Mishnah is talking about a case where Yodua b'yodea bohen shein kodesh. He knows that they were kodesh, and nevertheless, he's mefagel. So then it depends if he's shoyi or amazing. But we see that. That where Sover Lomer Shemutzah Fire Kodesh, if he thinks it's mutzah to do pigul, which is the shogeg, we let him off the hook, right? So here too also, Truma. If he knew the stuff is Truma, the Sover Lomer Mutzah L'Tamaisa, he thinks that it's permissible to imatame Truma, we let him off the hook as well. Okay, now the next Gemara, after having looked at it, I have a feeling it's out of order. Okay? So I want to go down first 3 lines, Teitz Rabbi Abba, and then come back and learn Rav Huna as an answer. Okay? Because there are 2 questions, and there's no answer. So I think the Rav Huna is an answer to the next 2 questions. You'll see what I mean after I learn with you. Teitz Rabbi Abba. Rabbi Abba asks a question like this. Hagatz Mucha. Now this is going back in our Mishnah. It's going back in the case of our Mishnah. The Mishnah says a menasech. If you libate wine for Avodah Zarah, b'mezid you're chayev, right? You libate somebody's wine for Avodah Zarah, b'mezid you're chayev. So Rabbi says, makes no sense. Agatzma, shoregas and nefesh. You killed somebody, right? V'shiva said, why you were killing him, you broke somebody's pots. Bitchila, why are you doing it? V'chayim misa, I'm sorry, it's all part of the question. Are you liable first to be put to death and then to pay afterwards? In other words, what do we say there? Kill Rabbinah, right? So it's here, Menasech. What is he doing in order to be Menasech? B'mezid. What's he doing? He's libating wine for Avodah Zarah. How can you make him chayiv to pay? Says b'mezid chayovin. Do they have to pay if they did him b'mezid? How can you have to pay? He's going to be put to death. What happened to kin later rabba minay? Right? So it makes no sense, our Mishnah, right? Weiter, says the Mishnah. Weiter says more. It was another question along the same lines. Meitz Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi says the same question. Agatz muchshidli gedisho chavero b'Shabbos. If you light your friend's haystack on Shabbos, b'tchilu chayim misa v'sot tashlum. At the beginning you're chayiv to death, and at the end you're chayiv to pay. It's obviously kimla rabba minay, right? That's true. In that case, the reason why he brought down the second case is even bigger question. Because the first case is a case where, at the time you're killing somebody, you broke, a pot with your other hand. So there, it's simultaneous. So I might say that that's why you're potter. But the second case is a case where first you became Chai Misa because you lit a fire. Then afterwards your fire went and damaged. So I might say, what happens later on, you're chayav, okay? You're chayav misa, but you're still alive, so you should still have to pay. But we know that's not true. We know that everything is considered to be included in the first mice, and therefore it's a kilim rabbini. So to here, where you're menasech, how's there any way to get you off the hook? So let's go back now to what the Gemara says in Rav. So it says, Gemara, Rav Huna b'Shem Rav said, Rusa named Rav, Vuhu, it's talking about a case, shiur, where he mixed together. What is mixed together? Nisech v'ir beva. You libated the wine and then mix that wine with somebody else's wine. Okay, so first you were menasech wine, you took a bottle of a chves, kenem malaga. It's actually mavushal, so I don't know if that counts. But yeah, let's say it wasn't mavushal. You cooked kenem malaga and libated it for Avodah Zarah. What else is it good for? You certainly wouldn't want to drink it, right? So you was libated for Avodah Zarah. And then, this is not I shouldn't get sued by Kenem for saying that, right? But, and then after having libated for Avodah Zarah, you mixed it intentionally with somebody else's wine. So the truth is, on the menasech itself, you may or may not be chayiv misa. It's not relevant. L'maisa, however, it's after you became chayiv misa, you then went and damaged by mixing that libated wine with somebody else's regular wine. So then, on that mixing, that's what makes you chayiv to pay, because you did that mixing b'mezid. So that's like anybody else who's liable to death penalty. Anything they do after the liable death penalty, they're still chayiv to pay on. So here, as long as the nisuch was separate from the libating was separate, then it's answering the other person's wine. So then bitchila hu chayav misa, or the vav you're supposed to bitchila hu chayav misa, but sof tashlum. And first he's chayav death penalty, but then he's chayav tashlum afterwards, and he's got to pay. Says the more further. Going back to where we got up to, hametame v'amedamea v'amenasech. B'shogei potter remezid chayav. It says that the metame damei menasech. Metame is you make truma tame. Metame mixed truma with somebody's chulin. Now you can't eat his chulin. Menasech libation, which you just learned, is libating and then mixing. All these things were b'shogei potter. If you did him unintentionally potter, mezid chayav. If you did intentionally chayav. That was a quote from the Mishnah. Now comes the commentary from Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says. The mishum knas, that it's because of knas. Now, there's three ways of understanding Rabbi Yochanan. I don't know exactly what's the right way. One way of understanding it, which I came thought of myself, is that it means that he's coming to say that even if normally you say kim l'rabbaneh, here we don't say kim l'rabbaneh because it's a knas. That's Chachamim made a knas. They said even though theoretically you should say kim l'rabbaneh, by menaseh Rabbanan made you chayav nevertheless. I'm not happy with that, but it's a possibility. And Moshe says that here is proving that Rabbi Yochanan is proving that since Menasech, it says here's chayiv, that means that it can't be a case where you are liable to that penalty, and he's not learning the way we did that the previous Gemara is the answer to the question, but rather he's saying this Gemara is the answer to the question that there's no liability of death penalty, even though there is liability of death penalty, nevertheless because the knas you're chayiv. Or the Karmeir changes the whole pshat. he changed all gears. He says it shouldn't be Tami Vam Debeh Benase V'Sholi Potem Meizachay, but rather it's by Kohanim Shepiglu B'Mikdash. Explain why these Kohanim were following the Beis Hamikdash Chayav Meizik. So it's Hezik Sheder Nikar, and the answer is also because of Knas. Okay, so all sorts of ways of learning that Gemara. Now, Paid Rabbi Yochanan Gugoda. Rabbi Yochanan Gugoda testified that Chereshes on a girl who is deaf mute. She was married off by her father. She had to beget that she can be divorced by a get, even though she herself is deaf mute. Nevertheless, you can give her a get. Also, he testified on a ktana, a minor, who's the daughter of a regular Jewish father. She's married to a Kohen. She will that she can eat truma. Mesa, if she dies, even though she was married off as a ktana, that Val Yosh, her husband, inherits her. Vame Reisha Gazul, and on a stolen beam. So this is on Nizakin, so we have many non-sequiturs here, things that don't follow each other, just part of the testimony. Vame goes on a stolen beam, Shebnova Beer, which is built into a fancy house. Shita is dumb that you pay back money for it. You don't have to ruin your house to take down the beam. That's because of Yushal Babli says because of Takonas Hashavim. In order to make it easy to do tshuva, because you make him take down his house to get down the beam, he's never going to do tshuva. So forget about tshuva. Bottom line, right? Spedel principle trumps tshuva any day, right? Chatas Agzula. And on a stolen chatas, shlo noda balurabim, as long as master don't know it's stolen, she mechaper said it's mechaper. It's not considered to be a chulin bazar or some other problem. It wouldn't be chulin bazar, but name it. It's not considered to be an issue. Yeah, chulin bazar. In other words, you stole now and made a chatas, so it still works when they take on the mizbech. Or the client should not feel always hesitant to go work on the mizbech because maybe the korbanos are stolen. So that way they said generically, even a stolen korban works. Let me just get another drink. Yavamas. Rabbi Chanina, we had it way back in Yavamas. Rabbi Chanina boy kuri Rabbi Ami. Rabbi Chanina asked for Rabbi Ami. Nirin dvarav. I would say that a get can be given, but bikacha sheish badas, when we're talking about a woman who is bikachas, meaning that she is a normal woman, sheish ladas, that she has das, meaning she has the capacity to intend. She can be divorced both with her will and against her will. However, cheresh she'ein badas, a cheresh is a deaf mute who has no das, lo teitzel das. She can only get divorced if she has das. Now, it's a very strange concept, but what it's like the Talmudic print concept which we have in the Bavli, kol roy lebila ein bila ma'kevesbo, kol she'ein roy lebila bila ma'kevesbo. Anytime something is suitable for a certain standard, it doesn't necessarily always have to meet that standard. Anything something which is not suitable for a standard, it must meet that standard, which means it fails. So a woman who can intend to be divorced, whether she knows she's getting divorced or not, as long as she knows getting a get in her hand, whether she agrees to get divorced or not, it's still a valid divorce, right? However, a woman who doesn't know she's getting divorced because she's a chereshes, so then she can't get divorced. Again, for divorce to take effect, you have to be able to know you're getting a get. Then we can even divorce you against your will. But if you can't know you're getting a get because you're a chereshes, you can't get divorced. Because you can't hold on to a get and know that this is your get. Right?
How'd you get married then?
Oh, so it says the Gemara, wait a minute. What about our Mishnah? Our Mishnah said a chereshes is yoytze beget. Chereshes was married off by her father. That's how she got married. Can be yoytze beget, right? So what's it going to do with our Mishnah? V'lo eidus. Isn't this a testimony in our Mishnah, right? Av zuka yoytze bo. So to here it'd be the same thing. Most even eidus, and you're going to add on. Most even here. Add on means detracting, really, but it means you're going to manipulate the edus. You want to say that the edus which you have in our Mishnah is incorrect. You can't do that. you're an Amora. Rabbi Chena can't do that. The Tana says that there's divorce for Chereshes. How you can, what are you doing? So it says more, Rabbi Chanina Savar. Rabbi Chena holds, Bipikacha Shisiya Avia, instead of Yima, it should be Venis Charsha. That's where it says Yivamis, it says your Carbonata. We're talking about, he wants to say that in fact, you know what? You're right. If the woman was married as a chereshes, she can get divorced as a chereshes, because those are the terms of her marriage. She was married with limited das, she can get divorced with limited das. Rabbi Chena says, what's bothering me is a woman who was married as a bikachas, and now you want to divorce her as a chereshes. That I can't tolerate. Because when she was married on the, achieving the bar of das, so now you can't divorce her unless she hits the bar of das as well. So he says, yes, you know what, I'm stuck. I can't argue on the testimony in our Mishnah. The Mishnah says that if she was married as a chereshes, she can get divorced as a chereshes. But I'm arguing on a woman who was married as a pikachas, that she could get divorced as a chereshes. That I don't like. So says the Gemara, Rabbi Yossi Savar Meimer, Yossi came along and said, you're wrong. He said, our Mishnah is even talking about Biktana Shisiya Avia Vima, so by even who grows married up by her father, mother, and should not be V'nis Charsha, but rather V'nis Charsha. And later on, she became a chereshes. In other words, the Yedus in our Mishnah goes against you, Rabbi Chanina, even in this case. And even if she was initially bikachas, and she became a chereshes, then nevertheless, she can be divorced as well. Okay, says more a new issue. Rabbi Yochanan said, "Matam arma ktana bas Yisrael chels b'truma." Why they say a ktana? On our mission said a ktana bas Yisrael can eat truma. Chorish you can't. Why can't she eat truma, guys? Why should she be able to eat truma?
Why should she?
Why can't she not?
Because she's not married.
Not married to Raisa, but she is. Because she has no nisuin to Raisa. Her father can be makabel kiddushin, but can't. It seems, according to our Mishnah, can't affect nisuin. So that's why it says matam omru. Okay, and the more is going to explain this a little bit. So everybody should jump to marry her in order that she should find grace in people's eyes. Meaning that even the Kohanim want to marry her. If the Kohanim are not going to be able to feed her truma, they're not going to love her, right? What does love have to do with it anyway, right? So therefore, how is she going to find favor in the eyes of Kohanim? Only if the Kohanim can feed her with cheap food. Right? What's cheap food? Truma. What? No, truma. Truma's cheaper, yes. They get it for free.
Oh, that's true.
Right? So if they can't feed her truma, these Kohanim, they're so stingy, they can't give her, I have a coin in the room, so be careful what you say. But the Kohanim, they want to feed her truma, so therefore they're only going to have showing her find favor in her eyes if they can feed her truma, right? The bottom line is right. To find favor, bottom line, it's all associated. So now, Amar Absir says, "V'hu sheteu das lishmor kiddushin." You know what? But she's got to know how to caper kiddushin. Now, both of these reasons preclude chereshes. A chereshes has no chen anyway. A, nobody wants to marry a chereshes, right? B, a chereshes also does not know how to preserve a kiddushin. So, according to both these reasons, a chereshes cannot eat truma, right? Rabbi Yerushalmi says, "Mastis Amar Kain." Our Mishnah says this as well. What does our Mishnah say? It says, "Nises l'kohen tocha b'truma." It says, if she marries a Kohen, she can eat truma. So the chiddush is that even though she doesn't have a real nisuin d'oraisa, nevertheless Rabbanan came along and gave her such a status. Amar China said, "Min mad Adam Rabbi Yochanan China." That which Rabbi Yochanan made the quality, made it contingent on chen. Adam Rafi lo yadas Lishmar Kiddusha Shea. This teaches us that even if she doesn't know how to keep her Kiddushin, as long as there's a chen factor there, that's enough, amazingly enough, to allow her to eat Truma. So even if the shiur herself does not know how to keep her Kiddushin, nevertheless, if she was married off by her mother or brother, I guess, and called Kafachon, she married by her father, she gets to eat Truma. Interesting, it says a Ketana has no chuppah that she can eat Truma. Now, I see I made a mistake before. Very bad mistake. Which is Nisuin she does have. A Ketana Bas Yisrael does have Nisuin. At least the Raisa. What the Gemara says here, she doesn't have chuppah. What does she have? What makes Nisuin? Amar Ravai said, Masisa Amar Kain, Nises L'koin Tocha B'Truma. The Tabla Amar Alf Amar Rav, when she marries the kohen, she can eat Truma. Now, Nises here, I understood this as parent, and I messed you guys up. Well, all the Yerushalmi is saying is that there's no such thing as chuppah for Nisuin by a Ketana. What is the Nisuin by a Ketana? If it's not the chuppah? Bia. Right. So it means when can you feed her Truma? As soon as boil her. Which fits in with the concept of chen. Because chen has nothing to do with romantic love, but chen has to do with Viha, right? So therefore, as long as he has relations with her, so then at that point he can feed her Truma. Okay. Rabbi Avin asked the final question based on this. This is a wild and woolly question. Classical Yerushalmi question. It's not, says, you have a Ketana who entered the chuppah and didn't have relations. So that by Ketana it doesn't work, even if she was married off by her father. That's not a sufficient nisuin, right? For the Shalom basically, now he sent her back home to her father's house. Big deal, and she grew up. Because the nisuin works retroactively, I have no clue how. But the nisuin work retroactively from the time that she grows up, that she can eat truma from now on. In other words, she had nisuin, but she had one nisukatana. Now she's a gdoilo, but she's not in a state of nisuin now. But the nisuin which she had when she was a minor connect to the fact that now she's an adult, and now can she eat truma. Says when she mean adult? Yeah. Let's hear from some price. I don't know where this price is, but it says Agav chuppah sarishno, she can eat truma based on her first chuppah. She can eat truma in this situation.
Well, she's still technically married. She was never divorced.
Yeah, but she never achieved true technical nisuin. That's a very big chiddush to consider in the suah, despite the fact that there was never any bia, and the chuppah was done when she's a ketana, but the chuppah done with the ketana joins together with the fact that now she's a gdoila. That's a big chiddush. That's what we're saying here. Okay? Say more further. Going back to our Mishnah. Instead of Mishnah, if you stole a beam, if you stole a beam built into your house, into your mansion, you don't have to take down your mansion in order to get it out. Not true. So that's the halacha. You gotta tear down your entire building and give it back to beam. Beisil says no say lo dama b'shavil. Beisil are the ones who argue, and they say that they give the money and its value. Neta goes to shove in order to get people to send to tshuva. Amar Belezer said, now that's not so fascinating, but now comes quite a fascinating thing. Oh, not yet. Amar Belezer says, Mapi, what's machlokas? B'shagozlo meshupa. If you stole the beam and it was already smoothed out, it was already made suitable for building material. Gozo v'shipo, but if you stole it and made it suitable to be a building material, so that's shirin ma'aseh, you change the nature of the stolen object, and the levels, whenever you change the nature of the stolen object, you have to pay back in cash. Now, this is a cool case, also only unique, exclusive, Yerushalmi exclusive. Gozlo v'shipo al-makomo. What if you stole the beam and you never moved it? In other words, you went into your friend's backyard, you took his beam and you started finishing it. And you finished it. And now it's suitable to build with. Right? Before it was just a block of wood, and now it's a building beam. So what is your status? Are you a thief? Are you not a thief? What? Yeah, well, you don't want to do it for free, right? You want to get paid for it. So nishmini menada. This is all non-bavli. So it says you go down to your friend's ruin, uvenoya, and you built it. Shelo b'rshus without permission. Shamilo, we evaluate what you did. V'yoda tachtoina, and you get whatever less, either, as we learned already, the expenses or the enhancement, right? So now, here too we would say the same thing. If I improve your beam, so I get paid for either whatever my expenditures were, or whatever I increase the value of the beam, whatever's less. I get the less of that tuzam. So it's interesting, even though the beam is metalclin at this stage, right? It's just a beam sitting on the ground. Nevertheless, the fact that I carve it without moving it or enhance it without moving it is not considered to be an act of theft, and therefore I get whatever's less. The shvach or the hotzos, the enhancement or the expense. Now, Bikesh Lito Eitzav Avanav, this is another cool case. Also, Yerushalmi exclusive. You built up your friends. I come. You own the old Hebrew Theological College, on Douglas Avenue, and I come and I build there a skyscraper, right? And now I want to take the building, the skyscraper away. I want to make it back the way it was, right? Which is a dump. So what's halacha? So I want to take back my sticks and stones with which I built your palace, a palace in your churva. Ain't shomilo. We don't listen to the guy that wants to reverse the building. Rabbi Yaakov, why? Rabbi Yaakov Rachel B'Shem Rabbi Yerushalmi Levi said, Mishum Rabbi Nachum Yaakov. Yes, boy. Yes, why not? If I took my bundle, I had a knapsack, and I opened it in your backyard, I can't pick it up again and take it away. That's what you're saying. In other words, so what if I built in your backyard and made a larger building? It's no different than my opening my knapsack in your backyard. I should be allowed to take all my toys and go home, right?
In the case of the old building, was that Hefker?
No, it was your old building.
So it still belongs to you.
No, to the other guy.
Yeah.
I came to your old building and I built it up. So it says here I have to leave it there. Why? Should we know different than anybody who opens his pack in your backyard that you can take back whatever you can get out?
Except if you open your package in my backyard, it's still your package. You didn't relinquish.
Where did I relinquish the sticks and stones here? You don't know that I relinquished them.
You were building it in my backyard.
Maybe I figured that you didn't want your backyard anymore. Maybe you gave me permission wouldn't work. So anyway, so says Gemara, what's the problem? So says Marvelo Shmiadam Rabbi Yaakov Bar Yidei B'Shem Yeshua didn't say B'Shum Levi didn't say here that which Rabbi Yaakov didn't say name B'Shum Levi B'Shum Yishuv. Interesting. The way the Pnei Moshe explains it is particularly nice. He said not because of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. The Gemara is going to clarify that in a minute. Rather because if I rebuild your ruin and then ruin it again, it's more ruined than it was the first time. Right? It's more ruinous. Right? Because the foundations are weakened. The walls are weakened. So actually, I'm going to damage you if I remove my stones and sticks. That I'm not permitted to do. I have to leave it there. As opposed to if I unload my knapsack, I can pack everything else and pack everything up and take everything home because I never weakened anything. But here I weakened. Okay? So that's one that's no good. So Mishum Yishu. Yosem Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi said good. I forget what Rabbi Yossi is. What Rabbi Yossi said? I'm sorry. I functioned wrong. The Shulei say Mishum Yishuv Yos is because of good settlements. So Rabbi Yosef said, Havina Savar Meim, I thought Mapli Boretz, it's only an issue in Eretz Yisrael because of Yishvoretz. But Chutzlaretz, so it's not an issue in Chutzlaretz. Mimad Am Rabbi Yaakov Barach Mishum Yishuv, not because of Yishvar Eretz Yisrael, but because of Yishuv. Adam Rahi Boretz, Chutzlaretz, the same thing in Eretz Yisrael. Chutzlaretz, so if I build up your backyard, I'm not allowed to take it down. It's an amazing concept, right? Because it's going to make things worse if I take it back down again. Okay, what if now what? He didn't literally want to take his sticks and stones back. He's not allowed to, but he wants to get paid. Right? Again, all this is not in the Bavli, and this is a fascinating, actually, machlokas one we're about to learn. I didn't see anybody looking quickly. I didn't see anybody speaks about it, but it's really fascinating. I built up your backyard and made your churba livable, so I want money from you. Right, whatever's left is true, the expenditures or the enhancement. I want money from you, right? So Amosai, when does he pay? When does he pay? Loch is, of course, he pays. So when does he pay? So Omer Lo, whoever the first Amoreh says, he doesn't get paid until the other guy lives in it. It was an amazing concept, because obviously the payment is for the Anoah I get. Until I live in it, I don't get any Anoah. That's what he claims, right? Whereas Shmuel says you give it immediately. It says because Lamaisa that I know is the enhancement of the property, and that's immediate. It's a fascinating machlokas.
Is there any concept of tovas hanoah here?
No, it's worse than tovas hanoah. It's actual hanoah. Tovas hanoah, where it's not a commodity which normally can be sold on the open market, but here the right to live somewhere or to own property is a negotiable right. Right. So that's actually basically machlokas. I don't know what the spoilers are, but Shmuel says the time of one of them says until he lives there, and Shmuel says immediately. Says Mara Ula Bar Shmuel said, this came back to the last part of the mission, which talked about korbanos. Now Bedina Hava really Elijah would dictate. I feel lonely at the rabbi, even the chatos was not known to have been stolen. Lo to chaper is shnat at all. Right, because it's stolen. It's a mitzvah above avera. Lamrut the chaper. Why they say that it did that if it's not known, it is mechaper. Because otherwise it's very desperate. Because all the kohanim would be paranoid about all the stolen korbanos in Ramakiv, right? Rishloi said the exact opposite. He said, "I feel in the bedina. I feel neither the rabbi the chaper. Really, it should work even if the korban is known to be stolen, right? Because there was yeush. Why did it say it's not mechaper? Because otherwise it would say that the mizbeach is eating stolen goods. So therefore, even really, if people knew it was stolen, it should work anyway. But since they shouldn't say mizbeach clean stolen goods, that's what they said it didn't work. Anyway, it said as long as the rabbim don't know, you're okay. Once rabbim know, you're up the creek. For kamei rabbim who are considered to be a lot. So, Reguim B'Shem Yisrael said Shloshim Miyarim, 3 people. That should be allowed. Once 3 people know, you can't sacrifice it, even though it's not 3 people also. Rabbi Yam Hashem Rabbi Yochanan said, V'avesim Gazul V'esabisech V'sacholez rebuke him by the Navi. You brought stolen animals, lame animals, and sick animals. Korbanos. Pesach V'cholot B'Koli Af Kol B'Koli. It's like a Pesach and a sick animal is obvious. So to just have basic animals obvious, Av Kol B'Goli, so to everything which is, so to, I'm not sure exactly what he means by this, but honestly it seems that he means that, even less than 3 people, as long as there's some way of it being public, even less than 3 people is registered to be public. Okay, Halacha Zayin. This is an interesting historical mission. It's actually in the Bavli, in this mission is the famous Agat about the Churban. But this is Yerushalmi, so that's how much I got it about the Churban here. But this is appropriate for this time of year. Now, the halach of Sikrikon is that Sikrikon literally bandits. So we're talking about and the murderous bandits. So there was no Sikron Yehuda, meaning if you bought land from a Sikrikon, in other words, the Sikrikon would very often come to the land of Yehuda and pressure the landholders to give him land, right, in order that they shouldn't kill him. So initially, the secret cone not so powerful. So if somebody bought from a secret cone, you say, he bought. The first seller who sold the secret cone sold under duress, but a sale under duress is a valid sale, right? So there was no din of secret cone. And Barugi Milchama, where people are getting killed in Yehuda is also true. However, from the time people were getting killed in war, and subsequently, Yechbo secret cone, there is the halach of secret cone. What's the halach of secret cone? Okay, it's a halach of a secret cone if you bought land from a secret cone. And then you bought the same land from a Baal Bais, your purchase is null and void, because of course the Baal Bais is in mortal terror of I'm not agreeing to this deal because afraid the secret cone is going to take it out on him, right? So therefore, if you bought something from a bandit and then you paid the original owner for it, that's null and void, right? However, Baal Bais, you paid the Baal Bais first because of the secret cone, then you paid off the secret cone afterwards. Then Michal Chaim. Then since when the Baal Bais found out about it, the secret cone had not yet known about it, so therefore he could sign, and therefore if he didn't, he takes responsibility. V'chein ha'ish. I'm sorry. Same idea. If you bought something from the wife, from the husband, and then you bought the same thing from the wife, Michal Bat is not involved because the husband agreed out of fear, right? If you bought something from the woman first, and then bought it from the man, Michal Chaim, then it's valid. Anyway, all this was the initial Mishnah. The later basis said, in time of secret cone, what do you do? No saying lebaile rovua. They said you just give the original owners a quarter of the value of the field, and we say with that they're willing to relinquish all claims. And when it's true, if they don't have the capacity to buy the field back, if they have the capacity to buy the field back, hey, and they come first. Rabbi Oshi Beis Meninu, Rabbi made a basin and voted. If land remained by the band for 12 months, then all prior bets are off, no matter what. The no sin lebalim revia, and whoever wants to take it takes it, and the original owner gets just a quarter of its purchase price. Okay, says more further. On a base. Now the Kushayat is all a scholarship thing here. When this is what period it's talking about. The Chmon L'San quotes Gretz on this, but I'm surprised because a frum Jew quoting Gretz. But in any event, the consensus to the Shai Teres Yisrael with himself is that this took place immediately after the Churban. Now this is not in the Bible either. Yerushalmi got it almost. Initially they decreed the Shmad on Yehuda. Why is that? They had a tradition in their hand. In the tradition for the forefathers. Yehuda Haragas Esav. Yehuda killed Esav. It's almost like, we killed Yoshka, right? The same idea. So the Chsiv says, your hand is in the neck of your enemy, so therefore they were killing in Yehuda indiscriminately. Also they would go and subjugate them. I don't know if they were killing them indiscriminately. They went to subjugate them. But not only so, same they take their fields, and used to buy and sell to others. For you Baal Batim boy, and then the Baal Bais, the initial owner would come, the Torfin, would grab it back, right? The Torfin, grab it back, and as a result, now put the words Nimnu Milikach from the next line over here, the buyers would refrain from taking from the secret cone because they knew that the Baal boss would come and take it back from them. So it was why should anybody buy from the secret cone? if the initial Baba is gonna come and take for you. But so the secret con guys would keep everything, right? Because they wouldn't find any buyers. Because any buyer would know he'd have to give back the original owner. The original owner was out of money, right? He had to give up his field without any money, making money of it. So therefore, everybody was up the creek, right? So therefore, he decided it's not going to be a din secret con in Yehuda anymore. What does it mean it's not going to be a din secret con? That means that once the secret con takes over, there's no recourse for the original Baal Bayis. He might get a quarter of the value, but there's no recourse. Now, the Orsameir points out about big machlokas Bavli Yerushalmi. Actually, it's the Rashba points out, the Orsameir just brings out the Rashba. The Bavli holds that because secret con compelled Gomer or Makne. If a guy comes to you and says your money or your life, then you are Gomer or Makne your money. Unless you're Jack Ben, he right, of course. You're Gomer or Makne your money because you know you don't want to lose your money. You don't want to lose your life, so you're willing to lose your money, right? That's what the Bavli says. Gomer Makne, there's no secret con in Yehuda because Gomer Makne. They give it over. Yerushalmi does another way. Yerushalmi says it's a takona. Because if we didn't say it's given over to the secret con, so then nobody would ever redeem lands from the secret con because they'd always know there's a danger to go back to the Baal Bayis. So therefore they made takona so that anybody buys to the secret con doesn't have to give it back to the original owner. Right? Yeah. It's a takana.
I'm the original and can't go today, first next week.
No, that's the takana. Okay. So name and now continuing along these lines, Bamed Var Murim, Baruge Milchama, when was there's no secret Kon Yehuda, when people were being killed in war, and Lifnei Milchama before the war. But after the war, meaning in the Gzeira after the war, then there's a little secret cone that you can't, whoever buys the field doesn't just get free and clear because there's too much confusion going on. Says more about I don't understand those who were killed before the war, right, who were in danger. Why are they not like those after the war, right? Which means they should have a din of secret cone, right? So it says the Gemara, we're talking about a case, the potter, really he should have a din of secret cone. We're talking about a case of Rishabah secret cone. The secret cone came because of Hamas and he stole and what's the word? Not distorted, but what's the word? No, it's not the word anymore. Yeah. Extorted. He stole and extorted land. Right? Because you pay. Chamas is where you pay, but not enough, right? Right? So secret cone came and he either stole or extorted land from that's the right word, right? Extorted? He extorted land from the initial homeowner, right? This is before the war. And then, the homeowner was not able to write the document or the secret cone right, until there was secret cone in the entire world, meaning the war devolved, right? So since the war came at that point, shalote secret cone, shalote halacha lemechta. We said in order that there shouldn't be half a halacha, so therefore, I made a mistake. Mistake I made was that we're talking about a case here where Chachamim were not able to write the tirfa, means they weren't able to write the initial Baal Bayis that he could go and take it from the buyer who bought from the secret cone. I'm sorry. It was a case where before the war, secret cone came. And the secret cone came and sold it to a third party, right? And this before they said made the takana, right? So in that case, since before takana, so theoretically, Chachamim should allow the initial Baal Bayis to come and take it back from a third party. But they weren't able to write the tirfa, which means the right of the Baal Bayis to go get it until war started. Once war started, according to the Bavli, everybody's gomer makne because they want to save their lives, right? According to Yerushalmi, there's a takona, right? Because if we don't make sure that everybody gets to keep whatever land they buy of a secret kohen, nobody's going to redeem the land from the secret kohenim, right? So since even though the transaction began before the war, when theoretically we should allow the Baal Bayis to come and reclaim his property from the third party, since this is the case which slept over into the war, it looked into the halacha of Sikri Kohen, which is that they get the whoever buys the Sikri Kohen gets to keep it. Again, I want to stress Machlokas Bavli and Yerushalmi because it's important Machlokas. According to the Bavli, in times of war and after the time of war, when there were great persecutions, so then a person whose secret Kohen approached and said, your money or your field or your life, would give up his field willingly in order to save his life. And therefore, whatever third party came and bought the field from the secret Kohen would be allowed to keep it because the guy who gave the secret Kohen gave it to him willfully. Right? Even though begrudgingly, but willfully.
Sounds like Yiddish. Well,
it's more than the Yerush. It's Das Makna. It's Talyu V'Zavin, it's called. We compel the guy and he sells. But in the Yehuda, in the Yerushalmi, it says, it's not Gomer Makna. He doesn't want to give it to the secret Kohen. But it's a takona that Chazal made. Because otherwise, nobody would ever buy the secret Kohen because they'll always be afraid the initial Baal Bos will take it back. Right? So therefore they made takona that the initial Baal Bos cannot take it back so that people would buy it from the secret Kohenim. Okay, so in any event, so says the Gemara. So therefore, once war started, even if the case began before the war, so they didn't draw a distinction. They said, forget it, you can't get your land back. Says Galil Olam Yeshbo Mishum Sirkikon. In Galil, they always had the law of Sirkikon, which is that it means that he can always get back his land. You know, it's kind of reversed. I keep getting confused. Aimbo Mishum Sirikon means you can't get back your land. It stays by the third party whoever bought it from the Sirikon. The Yeshbo Sirikon means you can get back your land. So in Go, they never made such a takona, and you can always get back your land if a Sirikon stole it and somebody else bought it. Right? Hamatalchlin Metalchlin do not have secret Kohen, which means you can't get them back. And this is clearly also part of the takana. If Metalchlin always had riders on them, secret Kohen, that the guy can come and say, oh, that car, I never sold that car, somebody came and stole that car, right? So then the whole marketplace would be paralyzed, because nobody would ever be able to buy an object, lest someday he has to give it back, right? Because there's secret Kohen. Therefore they just said, no backsies, right? There's no such thing as a secret Kohen. You can't ever take. You can't. The initial owner can't take it back because in order to keep the free flow of goods moving. So even though it's not an ethical halacha, right? Theoretically, because the guy who lost his property, he was stuck up. You know, he was compelled to give it up. But the running of the marketplace requires us to simply not take that into account. Okay, tough luck. That's basically what it boils down to. Nowadays they have no concept of tough luck because everything is insured. But in the old days they had such a concept of tough luck, right? Okay, so it says Tani we learned Chakire Bate Avos. If somebody was a sharecropper and Sirkon came and took away her sharecroppery, then there's no concept of meaning you can't get back the sharecropper status. Hayori mishum chov umishum amperos. If somebody goes down because of a debt which is owed to him, or theft, plain outright good old theft. Is secret Kohen. There is no concept of secret Kohen. You can't get the land doesn't go back to the original owner, and even according to our Mishnah Shai Torah Eretz Yisrael adds, which says you have to pay a quarter to the original owner. He says in this case you don't have to pay a quarter to the original owner. Now I'm not sure exactly why not, but that's what he says. Anyway, so it says on Peros Atzma Mantenis Abal Shemus HaChodesh. In a case of theft, land being stolen, so you wait for the owner to come back for 12 months. He doesn't come back anymore. So then, Amar Yehuda ben Pazi, we make a pronouncement that he should come back for 4 weeks after the 12 months. And if he doesn't come back, then the land is, he loses the land. What can you do? So it says the Gemara, Patla train per Nazbin, going back to the sharecropper issue. The two possible interpretations of sharecropper issue. Nazbin Chokos, he took it from sharecropper number 1. Yevel Chokos gave it sharecropper as number 2. Asway Mitchell and sharecropper number 1 comes and wants to take it back. Amalei, so he said, so the sharecropper number 2 says, V'lav Chokor at Shavikli is not the sharecropper now left to me. My Dekazi, whatever you made over the years you made, but now it's mine. Okay? And the reason why that's true, although it's not expounded upon here, but the Achronim say, the reason why it's true is that he didn't suffer any loss, the sharecropper. I mean, he lost potential income, but he didn't lose a field. So therefore, there's never any din of secret come by him. He never gets there's always a din of secret come, meaning he never gets the field back. Okay? So, never did Sirkon, never gets the pure back, sorry. So it wasn't his. So, but there's another possibility. Nazar Ba'abais, let's say Sirkon took it from the owner. And V'yevel Chakor, he gave it to a sharecropper. Asked by Mitchell, so the owner comes and says, I don't need no sharecroppers, I want it back. So Amar Lei, so he says, Ma loya hanoya loch. What benefit will come to you if you take back the land? Whatever he's going to see you taking back the land, he's going to take it for you, you're going to have to take it back from him, so you're going to constantly fight over it. Oh, you know what? I got an eighth for you. Whatever I make with my efforts, I'll give you a cut. So that's the case also where we have a case where an individual says that the individual says, the initial guy, initially there was a sharecropper, and then the Sikh gave it to another sharecropper, but here there was no sharecropper. And Sikh gave it to a sharecropper. So then now the Ba'abais wants to take it back, so the Shirkon says, the sharecropper says, look, if you take it back, you're just going to cause more of a battle. Leave it in my hands and I'll take care of it for both of us. So that could work. Okay? Says Gemara, Akdum Shtei Shoros. Now let's go back to the rest of our mission. The mission was talking about where he bought from a man, and then he bought from a woman, so the Mekach is bought because she said she had to sign it because her husband already signed the deal, right? Right? So remember that case? So that's when it's two documents. What if it was one document? The first husband signed, and then the wife signed. They say certainly in that case it's no good. Because she was compelled to sign because of the same document. In two documents, one could say that she wasn't compelled to sign the second document. We say nevertheless she's compelled because it came after the first document. But certainly if it's the same document, she feels compelled. Now, so it says, of course, it's only we take first and for the woman, that's no good. We want a case where the purchase is certainly valid. If you took first from the woman and then from the man, then it's certainly valid. It says, how can you do that? How can you buy first from a woman? It's not hers. It's on the lien to the husband, right? Achilas Peros. Says it's on the lien for Achilas Peros. But she can sell the actual property. Now, this is not the way I learned it when I originally prepared it, but now I like what I just said, which is, how can you buy from a woman first from a man? It must be you're buying from, it's Meshubah to the man, it's only Meshubah to the man for Achilas Peros, not for anything else. The way the Carbon Adam learns this line, however, it's talking about how can it's all one question. So isn't everything that the woman has Meshubah to the man for Achilas Peros? So what is she selling? So Rabbi Chizkiah B'Shem Rabbi Acha says that that's not what they're selling. They're selling Achilas Peros. Echnami, the gufa karka always remains the wives. The son achilas peros. Says Gemara. Fighter. Tablan Beisav. Machla Rishon v'chosma. If the husband sold to the first guy and she signed, l'shem shlish v'chosma, and then she signed for a second or third guy, gova min achron, she collects from the last guy. Even though she collects theoretically from all of them, because she signed after her husband in each case, nevertheless she first goes on the last guy. Lo speak, if the last guy doesn't have enough for her, when she's collecting a ksuva or mizonos, gova mishlam, she takes from the guy before him. Lo speak, if that's not enough, gova mishalivne, if I go to the guy before him. Now, Allah, Amar Rav. Now, concerning this, Rav said, it's only when she's collecting nichsei tzom barzo. But the chasim she brought in, I forget, we have this word elsewhere in the Yerushalmi, I forget where, nichsei miloik, right? Then there's no priority. Go even amazing shatir, so she collects whichever field she wants. Which is collecting nichsei tzom barzo, the fields are not actually hers. The money is hers, so therefore she goes by, and it's a standard collection vehicle of any debtor. She goes to the last guy to collect, right? And she goes to the first and then the second to last guy, and so on and so forth. But if it's her property, because nichsei milog, so she can go to anybody to take it back, because it's really her property which is sold. Shaloka did. So therefore she can take back any parcel she wants. She doesn't have to go to the last guy. She don't go to the last guy when she's getting reimbursement, but if she's not getting reimbursement, she's getting her actual property back. She can choose whichever one she wants. Okay? Theoretically, she could choose all of them, right? Because they're nichsei milog. Now, this is telling you about a new case, a related case, obviously. This where the guy bought from a secret cone in the years when it would go back to the original owner. So the original owners or his heirs say, we can buy it back. And therefore we want it back. The buyer says, no, you don't have enough capacity to buy it back. So Riyosio says, the field remains in the authority of the initial owners. Even though they're not, and the fascinating thing is, it says, despite because they're the original owners. Now, the Grama in Shulchan Aruch actually changes this, the Girsa here. It's based on the Ran. The Ran changed Girsa, says, what do you mean? Who's holding on to it? Who's holding on to it now? The guy who bought from the secret cone, right? The original owners want it back. They're not they're not sitting in the field. You can't say about them that they have first rights because they're not holding on to it. Who's holding on to it? The guy who just bought it. The third party. Not clear?
Who has to be Motzi Mechavera? Who's
the practice is that the original owner wants to say to the guy who just bought from the secret cone,
it's mine.
It's mine, and I'll pay you give it to me.
Right.
So what's it saying here that the Bailim have the Bailim have the right of Motzi Mechavera Lovaraya? They're not holding on to it. So the Ramah, the Amudi Yerushalmi brought down, he brings it down at the bottom, actually changes it to the Lekuchos say Motzi Mechavera Lovaraya. In fact, because the guy who bought from the secret cone is sitting in it now. So he says to the original owner, bring proof that you yourself are about to redeem it, and then I'll give it back to you. But this Or Sameach proves that the Gersa in front of us is correct. That it means that he doesn't explain the lumdus, but he says that in fact even though somebody just bought from the secret cone, it's still considered to belong to the original owner. I guess because he has deed to it. Secret cone never achieved deed, and therefore Motzi Mechavera Lovaraya says that you have to the Kuchos who bought from the secret cone have to prove that there was no way that the original owner could ever have bought it back. He couldn't afford it. And then in that case, they get to keep it and give a quarter of its value, but otherwise they don't get to keep it. Okay? Rav Amar Havina Miminyara. Rav says, I was among the people who made takon of Sikri Kon, when Rebbe made the takona. So, which is a little bit mashma, not like the, which is very mashma, not like Shai Torah says so, because Shai Torah says, sounds like the takona was made right after the Churban, and Rav was way after the Churban. So it sounds like it was time by Rabbi Nasi. So it is V'lav Shani here Revia Kak Revia Mos. When you pay the original owner, because you bought from the secret cone and he has no recourse, Doesn't matter, you pay him either a quarter of the value of his field in land or in money. Not true. Karka dinar agarma. If you're paying land, you give out a third per dinar. Don't ask me exactly how it works out in the language, but it's a third per dinar. Revia mos surmisim, which is a quarter in money. In other words, if you give cash, you have to pay less. There's a deduction for paying cash. So this is talking about a guy who bought from the secret code, after Zakona that he gets to keep it. He has to reimburse the original owner with a certain amount, however, not the full amount. So it's either a quarter in land or a third in cash of the full value of the field which he just bought from the secret code. Okay? We'll stop here for this evening.